What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm David Osmond.
And I'm Carrie Hawker Diaz. Okay, I am really excited about this one because, David, you and I are both parents, and I feel like you get a lot of advice in your life. Don't you feel like you get a lot of parenting advice?
Well, they don't give you a manual when you leave the hospital. When
No.
you go home and there's this beautiful creature is now in your care, and you're like, okay, what do I do?
What do I do?
And so it's a learn on the job kind of a thing. And so it sounds like David Cunningham has some inside scoop on parenting advice, but also targeting the what's a big topic right now, where there's a lot of loneliness, mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
It's overwhelming for parents. So it sounds like your conversation was a pretty powerful one.
Totally. And, parents will be able to relate to this. And I don't know, David, if you can, but I sometimes feel like parenting, you can feel lonely.
Yeah.
You're making the right decisions, the right choices. Are you guiding them in the right way? But you want them to be their own person. And it's how to beat that like loneliness. So, and as a parent, I think it helps to build your village, right? Mm-hmm. By joining parenting groups and chatting with other parents at parks and, seeing what they're doing and and becoming a community together and planning one adult interaction a day.
Just feeling like you're normal. It's kind of weird when you actually have an adult conversation.
Yeah.
Especially when the kids are really young.
Right.
I'm in a phase now where our kids are much older. So it's turning into a totally different experience from even a few years ago. But it's so rewarding. But it's nice to have the reminder that you're not alone in this. There's a lot of parents out there that are feeling the same things.
So true. And, and it's an important reminder that this season is temporary. If you're going through something hard, temporary, and we'll get through this. And as parents, I think it helps to relate to each other, communicate, in person feels good to me. I don't know. Are you an on the phone or in person? Do you like those conversations? I feel like you're a phone call person.
I'm a caller. Yeah. The texting is great and does make it easy in some things, but I think that things are so misconstrued and it's hard to feel nuance and emotion and all the meanings sometimes through just a text conversation. So I am a pick up the phone and just call.
Yeah.
And sit down and have a conversation.
I am too. And it helps to just connect during, we talk a lot about mental health, just as human beings in general, and how much it helps just to connect with others. So
find your tribe.
Find your tribe. I love that. And David Cunningham is amazing. Should we just give it a listen?
I can't wait. Let's do it.
Thank you for chatting with me today, David Cunningham. Appreciate you so much.
It's wonderful to be with you. I'm glad to have this opportunity to support parents.
Yes, of course. And, we're going to get into the tips about loneliness and the epidemic of the mental health crisis in just a second. But tell us about who you are and maybe a little bit of your background.
Well, I just have the most extraordinary career, right? I started out as a special ed teacher. I then went into advocacy and was a director of the Connecticut Justice for Children Collaboration, and then was a director of the National Committee for Prevention of Child Abuse. And then I led maybe the world's most powerful transformational program around the world for 35 years in many countries and for hundreds of thousands of people. So I've had just really a blessed career. And just published my first book called Your Love Does Matter, which I'm really proud of.
Oh, what an impressive career, David. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's been really blessed. Thank you.
Good for you. Okay, what is the biggest shift you believe parents need to make today compared to how previous generations were raised?
I think, Carrie, we need to really step out of the paradigm of good and bad, right and wrong. So that, I don't know about you, but I was raised in, this is what good boys do, this is what bad boys do, this is what's right to do, this is what's wrong to do. And that paradigm actually isn't working. So telling a child that it's wrong to lie doesn't get them not to lie. Telling the child that it's bad to hit their brother doesn't get them to stop hitting their brother. So it's not that effective, quite frankly. And it sets in place a really negative view of oneself. Like I end up thinking of myself as bad or wrong. So I'd like to replace that whole paradigm with a paradigm of what works and doesn't work. We can talk to our kids about, hey, it doesn't work to hit your brother. Why doesn't it work? Well, when you hit your brother, here's what happens. We have to stop the game. Your brother's crying. I have to come and I have to, put the game away. You don't get to play anymore. It doesn't work. What would you like to have happen? I want to play the game. Well, how do you have that happen? So talking to our kids about what works and doesn't work is a new paradigm that I think could replace talking to them about what's good, bad, right, or wrong. I think it'd be much more effective and doesn't put in place that negative sense of self.
That is so good. Yeah, let's replace that with what works and what doesn't work, and with everything in our life. That's super smart. And why do so many parents feel like they're facing these like steeper learning curves right now, even when we are just trying to do our best?
Well, for parents, our logic, we try to lead with our logic, like, because we we really do know what's best for our kids, and most of the time, right? And if they just did what we told them, that would make all the difference. But you'll notice our logic and being right aren't useful if we're not listened to. We have to be listened to. So no matter how smart we are, no matter how right we are, if our kids don't listen to us, it's nothing. So the big job is to get listened to. And boy, do we have a lot of competition for being listened to. There's a lot of media out there for our kids to listen to instead of us. So the real job is to get listened to by our kids.
Oh, that's so true. Okay. And, speaking about social media, how and why have modern stressors like social media, school safety concerns, and global uncertainty changes? How does it change that parent-child dynamic?
Well, again, our kids have a whole life outside of the home and outside of the family, even if they never leave their bedroom. They've got a whole life on the internet. They've got friends on the internet. They've got entertainment on the internet that really, as parents, we often know nothing about. So it really gives them a life that is separate from us. So the important job is to keep them really connected with us, even though they have that whole world available to them on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, so true. And where do you see the most common breakdown, David, between like communication with parents and children happening today? Where are you seeing it break down?
Well, the number one tool, the superpower of a parent, is to listen. I know we think our superpower is to talk, like, we should talk and our kids should listen. I say the superpower of a parent is to listen, to really give our kids a chance to tell us what they're engaged in, what they're thinking about, what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with, and to listen not from, any sense of judgment, do we approve or disapprove, but to listen for hearing them and having them know they've been heard and they're recognized.
Yes, we think it can be talking, but it can be listening even more importantly. Why is it so difficult for parents to separate our child's behavior from our child's emotional experience when we're in the moment?
Because we have our own reaction. It's we're human beings, so that we have our own emotional reaction and our own thought pattern about what's going on. So for us as parents to be able to have our own emotions and our own thoughts, our own judgments of what's going on, and to be free from those, so that not to be taken over by those. So it's important for us as parents is to get a relationship with our own emotions. Like, we can have them. We can have a strong emotion. I can be really angry, or I can be really scared, or I can be really irritated, but that's something I have. And my love is a way of being. So no matter what emotions I'm having, I still have a choice about who I'm being. So when you get love as a way of being, you get your choice there as a parent. So it's to free ourselves. We're not going to stop having strong emotions. We're not going to stop having strong thoughts, but to be able to be free from them, have them like I have a cup of coffee in my hand. I have emotions. Another analogy I like to use, Carrie, is there's the sky and the clouds, and the clouds come and go, don't they? But the sky is constant. So the emotions of a parent come and go, but we're there as a constant, as our parents and our parental love. So let the clouds come and go and keep ourselves free from them.
Oh, that's such a good visual. That's really good. I like that. Okay, we're going to piggyback more onto like the leading with love. What does it actually look like to lead with love when a child is acting out or pushing boundaries, which they never do, right?
My kids know. Oh my God. My son's 50 and he's still doing that. To be able to be with our kids and to lead with love is, again, to be able to be there. And there's something called acceptance, Carrie. And acceptance is confused by most people. That's why people aren't powerful with it. People think acceptance is approval. Like, if I accept what you're doing, I'm approving of it.
Mm.
That's just not the case. Acceptance is having something be exactly what it is. So if it's raining outside, if I accept that it's raining, I don't say it's okay that it's raining. I say it's raining, which then lets me interact intelligently with the rain. So acceptance of what our kids are doing, the acceptance of our kids doesn't mean we approve it. We can just be with it. And I think people are afraid that love means tolerance. And I think it's important to get that love and tolerance have nothing to do with each other. I can love and be very clear that I don't tolerate the behavior.
Mm.
I can love and be very clear that the behavior is unacceptable. But if people collapse love and tolerance, they think that loving means being tolerant, then we'll get in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like accepting it, not approving it, but accepting for what it is, accepting it in the moment.
Exactly. Very good. Yes.
Why is listening without interruption? I mean, we may think we know, but why is it so powerful in helping children regulate and understand their own emotions?
Because if kids don't, it's not just kids, if anybody, if they don't have the experience they've been heard, that we truly we do understand what they're going through, then they can't take any coaching from us. They can't take any advice from us. If I don't think somebody understands what my life is like, how can I listen to them? So us listening to our kids so that they get really clear. Oh, you've heard me. You understand what I'm going through. You now know. Okay, now I can listen to what you have to say about it.
How can a parent know when they're listening to respond versus listening to truly understand?
For the parent, right, is if you're listening, just waiting to get you're listening, kind of thinking to yourself, hurry up, so finding your opening to get your words in, then you're listening to respond for sure. Or if you find yourself arguing while your child is talking to you, you're debating what they're saying in your head. And kids can tell that, I would distinguish then between you're hearing them, like you actually hear what they're saying, but you're not really listening to them. So there's a difference between hearing somebody and really listening to them. So to listen for, oh, I don't need to agree with what my child is saying. I don't need to disagree. I don't need to approve of what they're saying or disapprove. I need to simply listen to it so that they know I know what they're thinking.
Absolutely. And what changes in a child when they truly feel fully heard, even if we're not like agreeing with them?
They open up. They really get open, and I do some individual coaching with young people, and I can tell just like if they don't think I've heard them and I go to coach them, it's like a steel door comes down. So what really happens is the child opens up and goes, okay, this is a person, they might have something to offer me. I can listen to this person. Maybe they've got something that'll be good for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is so helpful, it turns out, when they open up and they can feel more comfortable communicating. But David, why do you think parents often, we default to logic first, right? And even when it doesn't seem to land emotionally with our child?
Oh, society does that. It's not just us as parents. Society does that. We think our logic and being right is the most important thing. Every argument, Carrie, if you just look at every argument you hear between anybody, it's based on the assumption somebody's right and the other party's wrong. That's the basis of every argument. Here's a radical view. Nobody's ever right and nobody's ever wrong. I've never been right my whole life. I've never been wrong my whole life. Neither of you. We each have views of life, Carrie. Every human being has their view of life, and no two people have the same view. If you're in front of the house and I'm in the back of the house, we've got different views. To argue which is the right one or the wrong view makes no sense. So when we're listening, is we can listen to views. Oh, I'm not trying to decide if you're right or wrong. I'm listening for how do you see it? And it may be different than how I see it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. There's no wrong view. There's just views.
Very good. Yeah, everybody's view is different. No right or wrong. That's a very good point. And if we're looking at empathy, David, how does it become more of an intentional practice in high stress parenting moments?
Empathy. So empathy, again, is not sympathy. If I'm sympathetic, that means you're pathetic. So I don't love the whole notion of sympathy. Empathy is something else. It's I can be there with you. So it's not that I'm looking down on you, or it's not that I'm judging you in any way. It's, oh, I'm there with you with, I think a good word is compassion as well.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion is I have a deep appreciation of what you're going through, a deep appreciation of what you're going through. And I respect what it takes you to go through it. So I'm here to support you with a deep respect for what it takes you to go through this situation.
Yeah, that feels a lot more comfortable too. When you're going through something and someone is empathetic with you and sitting with you, there's no judgment. It's just they're there helping you through.
I don't want them to be sympathetic because I don't want them to think I can't handle it, right?
Right.
So I don't need sympathy, but empathy is worth gold.
Sure. That's a super powerful word. What is the difference between loving a child and tolerating behavior that isn't acceptable?
Yes. Again, love and tolerance have nothing to do with each other. I could love somebody and actually get a restraining order, not as a parent, right? Because I'm talking about adults, but I could love somebody and literally, as an employer, and fire them. So love and tolerance have nothing to do with each other. I can love you and be crystal clear about what's acceptable and not acceptable in our home, in our interactions, in our family.
Very good point. How do parents if we're looking to set those boundaries without losing connection or warmth in the relationship? Advice on that?
I think it's important to get that the boundaries have no threat in them. The boundaries. Listen, a boundary could be that you only get to spend this much time on your phone or something like that. It could be a boundary like that. Okay, it's got no threat in it. To include a threat, and if you don't put that phone away, I'm going to X, right? Has a threat in it. So the boundaries are just clearly set, and they're given. I think it always works to give them in advance, so it's not spring them on the child. To literally in advance say, okay, here's how we're gonna work this out. Starting next week, we're gonna have this boundary set. And it gives the child time then to work into it and to get ready for it. So it's not a threat. It's not like a reaction. It's a very thoughtful agreement set between the parent and the child.
Okay, that's good. That makes sense. How does changing the language, though, that we use as parents at home shift that emotional climate of a household? Because that's a big, big one.
It is, right? So I think, again, one we already talked about, shifting the vocabulary from that's bad and that's wrong to that works or that doesn't work. Notice that just takes a lot of the charge out of it, takes a lot of the judgment out of it. Hey, it does, I'll be silly, but it doesn't work to put sand in the gas tank of a car. It doesn't work. It's not bad, it's not wrong, but it doesn't work. It's just clear. So sorry for the silly example, but it makes the point that there's no judgment in it. It's just practical. It's just like having life work. So when we can take the judgment out of our vocabulary, it sets a whole different tone. Also, I think the other thing that's really critical is to make sure there's no blame. So a pitfall for a parent would say, oh, you make me so mad. No, I'm mad as a parent. I'm really angry. It's different than you made me angry. So the parent can also express their experience of what they're dealing with without actually blaming it on the child.
Yeah, that shifts it a lot, where you're not blaming someone for your emotions, and especially with children.
Yeah, exactly.
David, what role does patience play? We're always trying to be so patient as parents, and helping our kids feel safe enough to open up and express themselves.
Again, patience as a way of being. So if people relate to patience as an experience, like I feel patient or I don't, a lot of times we don't feel patient at all. Okay. But again, there's that difference between what we have in life, what we do in life, and who we be in life. And, so we don't have any say about what we have. I could have a car 1 minute, it's gone the next. We don't have any say about what we do. I could show up at the airport on time and my flight's canceled. The only thing, Carrie, you and I have a say about in life is who we be. So there's ways of being as human beings, like generous, stingy, tender, cold, patient, impatient. Those are ways of being. And so for us to get, patience is not an experience I'm having. It's not an emotion I'm having. It's a way of being I get to choose, is when we have power with it.
How can parents better hold space for a child's perspective that may feel very different from their own lived experience and what we're not used to?
Well, to give up any expectation that our child's experience today is the same as ours. The world is a different world. I have, right now, my grandchildren, I'm dealing with grandchildren that are 24, okay? Their world is so different than mine. And sometimes I'm like, I can hardly believe like the world they're living in, right? One of my grandchildren came downstairs because said, "Can I buy a birthday present for my friend?" And I said, "Sure." I go, "Who is it?" And they gave a name. I go, "And where's your friend?" "Oh, he lives in Belgium." What? Like, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, my friends were in the backyard. That's as far as it went. All right. But so it's a different one. So the real trick is to give up any expectation that their life and their world is the same as the one. It's not the same world we grew up in, and we don't expect it to be. So I'm open to it, and mostly what I'm interested in is what does it take them to navigate it, rather than wish they were living in the world I lived in. Okay, let me just be smart about the world they're living in, and the question is, what does it take them to navigate in it?
Oh, that's so good. We got to let go of trying to make our world theirs and just accept it for what it is. And that would probably help. This has been such a great conversation, David. I wish we could chat longer. Is there anything we didn't cover that you want to get out there?
The only last thing is I'm committed that people explore having a love footprint. Just like we have a carbon footprint, Carrie, I'm committed that we have a love footprint. In other words, every time we leave an interaction, we leave something behind. Whether it's a 30-second interaction with a clerk in a store, or whether it's an hour lunch with our kids, whatever it is, when we're done, what do we leave behind? Do we leave behind judgment, anger, argument, or do we in fact leave behind love? So we have a love footprint, and I think it works for people to take on always expanding their love footprint in the planet.
That's a very good point. You're very good at what you do, David. Thank you for that. And wrapping up with that, and all this, you're going to help so many people and so many parents with these tips, and appreciate you talking with me today, David. Thank you for joining me, and have a wonderful day.
How thrilling, really great. And thanks for getting this message out.
Appreciate you so much. And thank you for listening to another episode of Fresh Off the Set. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and we will see you next week. Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.